Welcome to Blizzard and Bloom, the podcast where we navigate the storms and celebrate the triumphs in business and entrepreneurship. Join us as we dive into stories, insights, and strategies from top professionals to help you thrive in today's evolving landscape. And now, here is your host, Jay Rotinelli.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Blizzard and Bloom. Today, lucky enough to have Martin Tirado with us here today. I actually reached out to him. I know talking to several folks around North America that are super excited for the Symposium and looking to get Groovy in Grand Rapids. So it's coming up real soon. So Martin, thanks for joining us today. Thought I'd kind of hand it off to you and you could kind of share with us maybe some new and great things you got happening.
Yeah, thanks. Jay. Glad you invited me again, and always happy to join you and talk snow and ice and some of the things that are coming. And thanks for remembering getting Groovy in Grand Rapids. I appreciate our brand line for this year.
Love it.
So it's going to be a ton of fun. It's the week of June 16th. So someone earlier today was like, it's the greatest week of snow and ice management. Maybe it is, but even though it's not in the winter time. But part of our message for the symposium too, always I try to remind people it's a chance where the community can celebrate. And some of that is like we celebrate the successes, and we also talk about some of the challenges we had too, and try to help each other again as a unified community of people throughout North America to see what challenges you have in the past winter season. How can you get better the next year? What are the things that you're facing, and kind of how we can all help each other. And that's kind of what the week is all about. It's learning, it's camaraderie. And then also just the business to business, this, it's really been very refreshing and really positive when I hear just combination of, the amount of purchasing that happens on the trade show floor, combined with, just people exchanging just different, business contacts that they have. There's some property management and customers kind of all over the country. So a lot of times it's people exchanging information like, hey, I've got accounts in Michigan, or someone has one in Ohio, but I can't serve, this property management or some other customer in those areas. And it's interesting how much actually business is exchanged. This goes back a number of years, but I had someone once tell me, they're like, I kind of came with just expectations of attending some sessions and the equipment on the trade show floor. And they left by the end of it turned into the next winter, $250,000 in new business, just from, again, some of that, I have, customers in different areas you probably have better served, or this one's better. I mean, that's really powerful. And how you can build and grow your business just from the network and the business relationships that you make.
It's, I look at the Symposium and to your point, it's a platform for us snow professionals that want to set and comply with industry standards, an opportunity to get together, and to your point, to celebrate and also talk about some of the challenges. But I found the Symposium to be a great platform, an opportunity, to your point, to be able to conduct some business in a sense. And I don't mean going into that saying, hey, I'm going to try to gain this much business or that, but it's simply almost like small old home day conversations that you have, and you say, hey, I was working on this and everybody, and then somebody might be like, hey, I got somebody that I think could help you out with that. And, when I think about all those business connections, it's pretty amazing, to your point, what takes place. And I listen to folks, and if there's one thing I can say as an attendee and as an executive in one of the businesses, for folks that maybe are looking at the ROI on the trip and the expense, I think you need to look a little bit deeper, because there's going to be little tidbits of information and nuggets of knowledge that you're going to gain that the payback could be exponential when you get back to your business. And it might not be something you do today or tomorrow, but maybe over the winter something comes up and you say, boy, that was a really great idea. And maybe you initiate that, and maybe it creates some efficiencies or cost savings of some sort. So there's a ton of opportunity, to your point, when you think about that. And again, it's fun, right? Let's face it. It's fun to talk about snow in June when it's warm weather. But again, it's an opportunity to network with other folks. And for me, I know from my perspective, when I go to these, I'm saying to myself, hey, these folks that are here, they want to push the industry to a higher level. They're proud of it. They're professionals. They want to educate themselves and their teams. They want to be recognized as industry leaders. And that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool environment to be around, because I'm not sure there's a ton of other associations where you could say that.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear. I mean, you're kind of hitting all the examples there too. So that's great. There's all sorts of times where we have people contact the Sima office, and it's 6-9 months later. Maybe it's the middle of winter, and they're like, "Hey, you know what? I was at the symposium last year, and I met this person. They were from Chicago, let's say, and they were doing something really innovative on, I don't know, their contract pricing structure, or maybe their salt application rates. Does this person," then usually by the time we ask a couple of people on the staff, I'm like, "Oh yeah, you need to talk to, you're talking about this person." And we just give them the contact information. Yeah, you should reach out. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to reconnect with that person." So those are some great examples. And then I always tell people as well too, like, you go to these and sometimes it's like the whole drinking through a fire hose concept. And I always kind of tell them, like, to be kind of have some reasonable expectations of the ROI. Just go into a conference and say, "I'm looking for 3 things." Just try to find like 3 things. What are 3 things that maybe I'm going to learn here, and I'm going to implement those in the next year? And that could be not only just for your company and business operations, but what about like even you personally? How am I going to maybe connect with some people that are going to kind of help me grow my, my career, my professionalism, kind of help me, do things like, work-life balance, or more dedication to continuing education. And maybe they want to get a certification like the CSP, ASM. There's also ones in landscaping and other similar fields. Oh, hey, you know what? I want to get that certification by the end of the year. How do I kind of, maybe connect with some people that would kind of help me, keep me accountable, and we can kind of encourage each other. So that's part of it too, is like, hey, you know what? It really kind of boils down. Can you take 3 things away? And I bet you can take away a lot more, but that way you can kind of make it sometimes a little bit more manageable and just in your own brain.
Yeah. And you made a good point there. Like, don't drink the fire hose, right? Because if you go into it, don't think you're going to take this, you're going to go back and it's going to change the dynamics of your business completely. And now you need to change all the ways that you're doing business and so forth. That's not the point, right? Not the case. The point is, what can you learn from maybe some of the veterans in the industry, or some of the folks that are working, that are maybe in the industry just as long as you have been, or even, less time. Because, hey, let's face it, some of these younger folks that are getting in industry too are more tech savvy and are really interested in being innovative and creating efficiencies. And I think, you can't put a blind eye to that. I was just talking with someone, about AI today and what AI is doing. And it's doing so many great things already around us and within our industries that it's unbelievable, and it's ever changing. So,
Yeah.
Talking to folks out there and being a part of it is a great thing. So, yeah. I know I'm looking to get groovy in Grand Rapids. Super excited. Love the tagline. 18 days away, 20 hours, 15 minutes, 39 seconds. I've talked to some folks around the country and in Canada as well. And, you got some great things happening on the trade show floor, a lot of great educational opportunities, networking opportunities. If there was some kind of key points that you could maybe say to some newcomers or first timers, what's maybe some advice you could provide to them on their first visit to the symposium?
Yeah, well, of course, be open-minded. Take a look at, like, you're probably going to hear and learn some things that may be outside of your comfort level or maybe your experience, but just be open-minded to kind of learn from others. And you were kind of hitting on some of the really great qualities of it too. It's this chance to get someone who's brand new to the industry, and people that have been in the industry for 30 plus years, made their entire career out of it. And even companies that are very small, the ones that are doing multiple millions of dollars. You're right. They all have things that they can learn from each other. And how do we kind of keep those conversations going? But I would say, yeah, just if you're otherwise a newcomer, is just, take some time. And the trade show is more than just equipment. There's a lot of like products, such as technology products, computer systems, software systems that can help on things like tracking and data management, on verification, all sorts of things like that. Insurance. It's really kind of a broad scope of weather monitoring and weather reporting. so that it's more than just, I know we always like to take a look at the big equipment that's there, and that's cool. Always cool. Where else under one roof can you see all the best and latest and newest stuff? But there's a lot more out there too, just on, again, the consulting and the other products that are going to that are on the show floor. And we'll have a few this year as well too that really are going to continue to get into the robotics. Kind of, again, younger generation. It's not about working more; it's about working smarter. And with less people power, what are we doing to enable some kind of automated to robotic type of work performed? It's still I still think it's the beginning stages, but it's really emerging. And you mentioned even AI. You're right. There's just so many different things that you can do to streamline your business operations now that AI makes it just much quicker. I was toying around just this morning, but with some video translation. And for example, you could take what we record today, and there's a couple pieces you could basically just import it, and it would immediately put it into Spanish. And there's some out there, they're up to like 75 different languages, and it would really only take a few minutes. So if somebody, hey, they're entirely, in our industry, it's Spanish speakers. And then probably you get to Quebec, there's, French Canadian. If you wanted to have this more readily available for them, you could have that done. You take this recording and put it into a translatable, and it's done what used to take weeks through people. A lot of manpower is now being done, through AI tools. So I know I strayed a little bit off there, but
yeah, no, it's all good stuff, right?
I just want as like a newcomer, man, just try to learn and network with as many people as possible. We really kind of work hard on how do we make this an open and welcoming environment. I want to make sure that when everyone comes, your first time attendee, how do you have a great experience? That really kind of makes such a difference. Is like, I went to the symposium or really any conference, and how did I have just a fantastic experience? And we want to, we've always said, I guess maybe it's me, I should say, but like, I kind of consider, we're this, Simon's this open community, kind of like a church. Our doors are open, and we're here to help you. You just have to be open. You just have to come and show up and be part of that openness. And with that, there's just kind of no restrictions in that regard.
I think about one of the first times I went to it. I think it was, I was trying to think the other day. I was asking my wife. I think the first one I went to was 22 or 23 years ago, when the symposium, was still fairly early on. And I was so nervous when I got there because in my mind, I was thinking, wow, I got all these big companies and, I'm just coming from a small family business, and what do I really have to offer? And are they going to be willing to share that information of what makes them successful? And is it even applicable to me to bring home to our business? And, what I think about often is I think of one of my greatest of things that you offer is that snack and chat. And that is such a great opportunity to get in there in a non-judgmental platform, I'm going to say, for lack of a better term, and sit at a table and talk to like-minded individuals. And you'll be surprised at how much or how many times you actually have some great information to share, whether you know it or not. You might have some great information to share that somebody else could find useful, right?
Yeah.
And that happens so often. And I've seen smiles at tables during those snack and chats. And I see people and they're kind of stunned. And you talk to them after and you're like, geez, I was hoping to get a lot more, but I ended up doing a lot of the talking and I learned from them. And that's what it's all about, right? So I say to people, when you go into these events, if you don't know somebody, introduce yourself. Or if you know somebody that through LinkedIn or just happen to make a connection with, grab a cup of coffee and sit for 10 minutes. It's amazing the relationships that you can make. Again, I'm super excited, looking forward to the 28th annual Snow and Ice Symposium. A lot of great things happening. Grand Rapids is a great city.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed my visits there before. A lot of great things going on there. So your team at SIMA has done an extraordinary job, I think, this year of putting this show together. They do every year, but there's been a lot of positive buzz out there in the world and social media and across the internet. Super excited.
Yeah, no, that's great. Always good to hear that kind of stuff. So yeah, that one thing that's a timeless event is that snack and chat. You're right. And for people that aren't familiar with it, it's we have table topics determined in advance, and there's always a few open ones too if you want to have just an open discussion, but there's something like at least 50 different topics. So you can go in and say it's one's on sales or one's on operations or one's on Brian, whatever it was. So say you go sit at a table and we have one moderator per table. And their role is just to kind of introduce everybody and keep the conversation going. So the idea is, you sit down, have a meal with someone. Say that you want to go to one on sales, and you're there with 8 people. They're all trying to maybe improve a little bit on their sales process. So it's like, hey, what are you doing to get brand new customers? Hey, well, I've done this, and this has helped me. I've joined my local chamber of commerce, and that's opened some doors. You kind of just getting this more intimate exchange of ideas, and you become more of the participant learning versus the listening to a speaker in the front of a room. And that's always great too. We always want to hear, what do the subject matter experts teach us in the educational room? But then it's like, okay, let's break that down and have these conversations with like, hey, what are you doing on this? And that's where the snack and chats are just, again, they're kind of a timeless, very, very popular. And at one snack and chat, you want to again talk about sales. The next one, you want to go talk to a group about efficiency, operations efficiency. Then you switch. It's meant to be that way, actually, to go hit as many different topics in each one that you can.
Yeah.
So you can
like
hit
a speed
2 or
dating.
3. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I do some of these things at our local chamber of commerce, and it's a morning coffee type. They call it the morning mixer, and you get these cards, and you go around to each person, and you spend 3 minutes in the group, and you really get to learn. And I think about snack and chat, and if there's again something I'll say is leave your fears behind, because everybody else is sharing those same feelings in some way, shape, or form. Nobody's better than the other, and there's always a ton of information that you can gain from it.
Yeah.
So just super excited to get, to be there, be a part of it. And I know others are as well. So again, thanks for putting this on, and thank you to your team.
Yeah, of course.
Super excited to be a part of it. And I just hope everybody else is looking forward to it. I know they are, because I've talked to a lot of folks, and it's going to be here soon. So, and to think that we're going to talk snow in June in Grand Rapids being Groovy is pretty cool. So
yeah,
I appreciate the time and effort, and thanks for joining me today. And looking forward to seeing everybody at the show for some sort of meet and greet, snack and chat, whatever it might be. So go there open-minded. You got a little bit of fear, leave it behind, and don't be afraid, because everybody else has been in a position one time or another. And when you think about ROI on something like this, think about it more as a wholesome standpoint, in longevity wise, and what you can get out of it, and connections, and what you can take back to your business. And to your point, Martin, don't drink the fire hose, right? Because that's not going to help you. Grab, to your point, three bits of information, or 3 goals that you might have in mind, and take that back and start seeing how you can implement that in your business. So
yeah,
I think that's a great way to start. So
yeah,
thanks again, and appreciate you being here and being on the show again one more time, and looking forward to seeing you as well as the rest of the folks out in Grand Rapids. So let's get groovy in Grand Rapids.
exactly.
Thank you, everybody.
It's gonna be a great week.
Thanks for tuning in to Blizzard and Bloom with Jay Rotinelli. We hope you feel inspired and empowered. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Join us next week for more insights and stories to help you bloom in your business journey.